Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are looking at the shoe bomber Richard Reid, who on the 22nd of December 2001 attempted to blow up an American Airlines Boeing 767-300ER on its way from Paris Charles de Gaulle, France to Miami, Florida. Richard Colvin Reid was born on the 12th of August 1973 in Bromley in Greater London in the United Kingdom. He was the son of Leslie Hughes and Colvin Robine Reid, with his grandfather on his father's side Jamaican. Hughes was the daughter of an accountant and magistrate. His father was a career criminal, and at the time of Reid's birth he was in jail for stealing a car. His father would tell Time magazine that he had spent about 20 years in jail and stated, "I've seen the inside of most of London's prisons. I was no great example for my son." His mother would begin divorce proceedings shortly after his birth. His father rarely saw him, and his mother got a new partner who was white, leading to Reid being confused, stating to his best friend at school, Marcus Graham, that he was trying to sort out where he was from and what his identity was. Reid attended Thomas Tallis School in Kidbrooke. Other famous alumni include Dominic Cooper, who is known for his portrayal of Jesse Custer in the AMC show Preacher, and young Howard Stark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as Simon Day, who is known for the sketch show The Fast Show and the sitcom Grass. However, Reid also attended school with Kemer Nezarem, who was a news anchor and reporter with Channel 4. When he was aged 11, his parents would finalise their divorce. He left Thomas Tallis School at the age of 16. Today in England, while on the last Friday in June of the year that you turned 16, you can leave school, you have to stay in educational training until you get to the age of 18. However, this wasn't the case in 1989. Reid would become a graffiti writer, writing graffiti under the name Enroll as part of a gang, spending time in and out of detention with 10 convictions against him and serving sentences at Feltham Young Offenders Institution and Maidstone Prison. The first time he went to prison was at the age of 17 when he mugged a senior citizen. This was one of many robberies that Reid would commit, including mugging some of Nezarem's friends on a train. He was described by Nezarem as terrified of the ringleader of the gang, and after the mugging had taken place, he turned around and mouthed sorry as they fled the platform. In spring 1992, he was arrested for mugging and was convicted of 4 robberies, admitting to 24 robberies, 22 thefts and 1 attempted theft. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. It was during that time that he would become influenced by Muslims and converted to Islam. Indeed, his father had already converted to Islam while in prison in the 1980s. As a result, he never touched drugs in his life and gave up smoking. Released from prison in 1996, he joined the Brixton Mosque in Brixton, London, before attending the Finsbury Park Mosque in Finsbury Park, North London. At the time, Finsbury Park Mosque was headed by the anti-American cleric Abu Hamza al-Masri. Al-Masri would preach Islamic fundamentalist views. In 2006, he was found guilty of inciting violence and sentenced to 7 years in prison. On the 5th of October 2012, he was extradited to the United States of America to face terrorism charges, with his trial commencing on the 14th of April 2014 in New York. On the 19th of May 2014, he was found guilty of 11 terrorism charges, and on the 9th of January 2015, he was sentenced to life in prison and is currently imprisoned at ADX Florence in Colorado. It was while at the Finsbury Park Mosque that Reid fell under what was described as terrorist talent spotters and handlers, including Dajamel Begal. Algerian Begal was arrested on the 28th of July 2001 at Dubai International Airport while transferring on a flight from Pakistan to Europe, as he had a fake French passport on him. Interrogated for 2 months by Emirati police, Begal confessed that he was conspiring to destroy the US Embassy in Paris amidst a network of interconnected terrorist cells in France, Belgium and the Netherlands, with Al-Qaeda orchestrating the attempted attack on the US Embassy. However, Begal would retract his statement, insisting that it was given under torture. On the 1st of October 2001, he was extradited to France, where he would tell Magistrate Jean-Louis Bulgaria that he had visited Osama bin Laden's base in Afghanistan and planned a suicide bomb attack. In March 2005, he was convicted to 10 years in prison for attempting to blow up the American embassy in Paris, and in 2006 he was stripped of his French citizenship, which he had acquired through marriage. On the 16th of July 2018, he was released from prison and deported back to Algeria. By 1998, Reid began voicing extremist views. In 1999, he flew to Pakistan, where in 1999 and 2000 he began training at a terrorist camp run by al-Qaeda. It was while in Pakistan that he allegedly attended an anti-American religious training camp in Lahore, which was run by Mubarak Ali Gilani, a Pakistani Sufi religious leader and a member of the Qadiriyya Tariqa. Returning to the United Kingdom, he attempted to obtain duplicate passports from British government consulates, but was unsuccessful. He also lived and travelled in several places in Europe, communicating using an address in Peshawar, Pakistan. Reid and fellow British citizen Sajid Badad, who we will come back to in a minute, returned to Pakistan in November 2001, travelling overland to Afghanistan. There they were given shoe bombs, casual sneakers, adapted to be covertly smuggled onto aircraft, which would be destroyed on board the flights. Forensic analysis showed that both bombs contained the same plastic explosive, and the detonator cords both came from the same batch, meaning that the bombs of Reid and Badat were both interlinked. In early December 2001, they returned to the United Kingdom. Reid then went to Belgium for 10 days before getting a train to France on the 16th of December. It was while in Belgium that he told British authorities that he had lost his passport and was issued a new one by the British Embassy in Belgium. The day after he arrived in Paris, he bought a round-trip ticket from Paris Charles de Gaulle to Antigua VC Bird International Airport via Miami, Florida. He paid for the ticket in cash. In an undated email to his mother from his Yahoo email account, it was 2001, Reid would write to his mother, "I have given this letter to a brother to send via the email. I hope it will reach you. I'm not sending it myself, as I will not be able to do so. What I am doing is part of the ongoing war between Islam and disbelief. I know you will find many Muslims quick to condemn the war between us and the US, and I've sent you a copy of my will. The reason for me sending you it is so that you can see that I didn't do this act out of ignorance, nor did I do just because I want to die, but rather because I see it as a duty upon me to help remove the oppressive American forces from the Muslim lands, and that this is the only way for us to do so, as we do not have other means to fight them. I hope that what I have done will not deter you from looking into Islam, or even cause you to hate the religion, as the message of Islam is the truth. This is why we are ready to die, defending the true Islam, rather than just to sit back and allow the American government to dictate to us what we should believe and how we should behave. It is clear that this is a war between truth and falsehood. This is a war between Islam and democracy. I ask him that he guide me to the truth and cause you to understand why I've done what I've done. Forgive me for all the problems I have caused you both in life and in death, and don't be angry for what I've done." On the 21st of December 2001, Reid attempted to board American Airlines flight AA-63 from Paris to Miami, Florida. Miami is one of American Airlines' biggest hubs, with American Airlines continuing to fly from Miami to Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport seasonally. American Airlines continue to serve Antigua via Miami year-round. However, Reid aroused suspicion from the airline passenger screenings, as he looked dishevelled, had no luggage, was evasive, and paid for his round-trip ticket to Antigua in cash. This led to him being questioned by ICTS agents before being referred to the French National Police. However, his passport of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland was found to be genuine, and his name was not found on a list of suspected terrorists. In addition, the French National Police did not x-ray him or use bomb-sniffing dogs, meaning that the bomb was not found out. However, Reid would miss his flight with American Airlines. They reissued a ticket for his flight for the next day, the 22nd of December 2001. Reid stayed overnight at a hotel near Charles de Gaulle Airport. Wearing the same shoes packed with plastic explosives and the hollowed-out bottoms, Reid returned to Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport on the 22nd of December. American Airlines Flight 63 was operated by a Boeing 767-300ER registration N34AA with 197 passengers and crew aboard. His appearance hadn't changed, with French citizen Annie Joly telling Time magazine while waiting at the boarding gate at Charles de Gaulle, "I was immediately struck by how bizarre he looked." Shortly after a meal service while over the Atlantic Ocean, flight attendant Hermes Mortadier thought that she smelt a burning match and walked down the aisles of the plane, trying to find the source of the smoke, and found Reid trying to light a match. She warned him, but smoking was not allowed on board, and Reid subsequently promised to stop. A few minutes later, Reid was found leaned over his seat, and Mortadier asked what he was doing. He then grabbed her and revealed one of his shoes in his lap, which had a fuse leading into the shoe, and he lit a match. Mortadier screamed at the top of her lungs. However, the bomb did not go off. This was due to a delay in the departure of Reid, as he was due to leave on the 21st of December 2001, combined with rainy weather and Reid's foot perspiration, which made the fuse too damp to ignite, with the tip of one fuse partially melted. In total, Reid had 10 ounces or 283 grams of explosive materials characteristic of C4 in his shoes, enough to blow a hole in the fuselage and cause the Boeing 767-300ER to crash over the Atlantic. The shoes were containing chemicals including PTN, which was the primary explosive, and triketone triperoxide, TATP, a chemical which was needed to detonate the bomb with a fuse and match. The bomb is called the Mother of Satan by Palestinian militants as it is unstable and makes it dangerous for both the victims and the bomb maker. Passenger Monique Dennison would tell Time magazine when she heard the scream of Mortadier, "When someone screams the way she did, you know something bad is happening," and also remembered one of the flight attendants shouting, "Oh my God, somebody help me." Reid was restrained with plastic handcuffs, leather waist belts, headphone cords, and a tranquilizer, with the captain of the aircraft warning that Reid may have accomplices on board. One of those who restrained him, in addition to 2 flight attendants, was Quame James, en route to Trinidad and Tobago, who was a basketball player at the University of Evansville, Indiana. In 2002, for his efforts to restrain Reid, he would be presented with a national award by President Arthur N.R. Robinson, the then president of Trinidad and Tobago, at the 2002 Independence Day Awards ceremony. Escorted by Air Force fighters, the aircraft was diverted to Boston Logan International Airport in Massachusetts, the closest airport in the United States of America. As the Boeing 767-300ER was over the Atlantic Ocean when Richard Reid tried to ignite his shoe bomb. Reid was immediately arrested at Logan International Airport on arrival of American Airlines Flight 63. 2 flight attendants, including Mortadier, suffered minor injuries. According to PBS, this was a result of Reid biting one on the hand and pushing one flight attendant to the ground. Held in Plymouth Jail, 30 miles south of Boston, he was put under suicide watch. On the 22nd of December, a US official told CNN that the bomb that Reid had was very sophisticated, and it would have taken a high level of intelligence and know-how to construct this type of bomb. On the 24th of December 2001, he was charged at a federal court in Boston with interfering with the performance of duties of flight crew members by assault or intimidation, which carried a penalty of up to 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Reid was held in jail without bail due to the gravity of his crime, and he was judged to be a flight risk. On the 26th of December 2001, Abdul Haq Baker of the South Brixton Mosque told the BBC that Reid was one of about 100 would-be suicide bombers, with extremists preying on impressionable youths. On the 16th of January 2002, after a grand jury indictment was obtained by the prosecutor against Reid, he was charged with 9 criminal counts related to terrorism, including attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction, attempted homicide, placing or transporting an explosive or incendiary device on an aircraft or public mass transportation vehicle, attempted murder, 2 counts counts of interference with flight crew members and attendants on an aircraft, attempted destruction of an aircraft or public mass transportation vehicle, attempted destruction of an aircraft, and attempted wrecking of a mass transport vehicle. However, the last charge, attempted wrecking of a mass transport vehicle, was dismissed on the 11th of June 2002 because the congressional definition of a vehicle did not include an aircraft. On the 4th of October 2002, Reid pleaded guilty to the remaining 8 counts against him. His sentence hearing was held in front of Senior U.S. District Judge of the United States District of Massachusetts, William G. Young, on the 30th of January 2003. During his sentencing hearing, Reid said that he was an enemy of the United States of America and in league with al-Qaeda. This was later corroborated by Mohammed Mansour Jabrar, a Kuwaiti who was convicted of terrorism-related offences and was active in al-Qaeda and Jamaat Islamiyah. He was arrested in 2002, and even though he did cooperate with authorities, he was sentenced to life in prison, which he is serving in ADX, Florence, Colorado, after violating his release conditions. Reid also said that he was a soldier of God under the command of Osama bin Laden and demonstrated a lack of remorse as well as a combative nature during the hearing, and said that the flag will come down on the day of judgment, referring to the flag of the United States of America. During his trial, Reid would state, "I start by praising Allah because life today is no good. I bear witness to this, and He alone is right to be worshipped. And I bear witness that Muhammad Salat alayhi al-Salam is his last prophet and messenger, who was sent to all of mankind for guidance, with the sound guidance for everyone. Concerning what the court said, I admit my actions, and I further state that I done them." Judge Young would reply, "I didn't hear the last. I admit my actions. And then what did you say?" Reid would retort, "I further admit my allegiance to Osama bin Laden, to Islam, and to the religion of Allah. With regards to what you said about killing innocent people, I will say one thing. Your government has killed 2 million children in Iraq. If you want to think about something against 2 million, I don't see no comparison. Your government has sponsored the rape and torture of Muslims in the prisons of Egypt and Turkey and Syria and Jordan with their money and with their weapons. I don't see what I done as being equal to rape and or torture or to the deaths of the 2 million children in Iraq. So for this reason, I think I ought not apologise for my actions. I am at war with your country. I am at war with them not for personal reasons, but because they have murdered more than so many children, and they have oppressed my religion, and they have oppressed people for no reason, except that they say we believe in Allah. This is the only reason that America sponsors Egypt. It's the only reason they sponsor Turkey. It's the only reason they back Israel. As far as the sentence is concerned, it's in your hands. Only really, it is not even in your hand. It is in Allah's hand. I put my trust in Allah totally, and I know that He will give victory to His religion. And He will give victory to those who believe, and He will destroy those who wish to oppress the people because they believe in Allah. So you can judge, and I leave you to judge, and I don't mind. This is all I have to say, and I bear witness to Muhammad. This is Allah's message." Reid would also state, "That flag will be brought down on the day of judgment, and you will see in front of your Lord and my Lord, and then we will know." It was after this that Reid was removed from the courtroom, and the court proceedings were adjourned. Prosecutors alleged that Reid was a committed terrorist and would remain so until his dying days. On the 31st of January 2003, Judge Young would sentence Reid to 3 consecutive life sentences and 110 years in prison with no possibility of parole. He was fined the maximum of $350,000 on each count that he was facing, a total of $2 million, as he was facing 8 counts. He obviously did not pay a penny. Reid would insist that he had acted alone and built the bomb alone, but Badat did not go through with the plot. Badat emailed his handler, stating, "You will have to tell Van Damme that he could be on his own, with his father talking him out of the bombing. But he kept the shoe bomb components at his house on St. James Street in Gloucester, with the detonator under his bed and the explosive in a hallway cupboard. Acting on secret intelligence, police searched his home in Gloucester in November 2003 and found the concealed bomb parts and arrested Badad. On the 28th of February 2005 at the Old Bailey in London, he pleaded guilty to involvement in a conspiracy to destroy a US-bound aircraft, and on the 22nd of April 2005 he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. However, Badad assisted British and US authorities with information on other alleged terrorists, some of which was used in the prosecution of Adis Medunjanian, a Bosnian immigrant who came to the United States of America in 1994 and became a naturalized citizen in 2002. Medunjanian was involved in the 2009 plot to blow up the New York subway, as well as target subway systems in the United Kingdom. On the 21st of May 2012, Medunjanin was found guilty of conspiring to use weapons of mass destruction, conspiring to commit murder of US military personnel abroad, providing and conspiring to provide material support to Al-Qaeda, receiving military training from Al-Qaeda, conspiring and attempting to commit an act of terrorism transcending national boundaries and use firearms and destructive devices in relation to these offences. Sentenced to life in prison on the 16th of November 2012, his sentence was reduced to 95 years on the 6th of October 2020. As a result of this assistance, Badad's sentence was reduced from 13 years to 11 years in prison, and in March 2010 he was controversially released from prison. But was Reid involved in 9/11? Well, Zacchaeus Moyosari, a French member of Al-Qaeda, who planned to participate in 9/11 and was going to be the 20th hijacker and the 5th hijacker aboard United 93 after Ramzi bin al-Shibh and Zakaila Essabar's visas to the United States of America were denied, and he would become the only person convicted in the United States of America on 9/11. However, the involvement, if indeed any, of Reid in 9/11 is debatable, as federal prosecutors and the Department of Justice investigators were unable to prove a link between Reid and 9/11. Ultimately, if he was involved in 9/11, it remains unknown to this date, and will probably never be known. And we will be doing a future video on Moyosari, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when new videos come out. As a result of Reid's actions, from 2006 to 2025, the TSA required all passengers to remove their shoes for screening. While scanners do not find PTN in shoes or strapped to a person, X-ray scanners can see if a shoe has been altered to hold a bomb. Reid is incarcerated at ADX Florence in Colorado, meaning that he is in solitary confinement 23 hours a day and can exercise at 1 hour a day. He would file a lawsuit challenging the restrictions placed on him, which controlled communications with his lawyers and other non-prisoners, limited his access to Muslim clerics, and prevented him from joining a group prayer at ADX Florence. This lawsuit was filed by Reid in 2007 against the government of the United States of America, with Reid stating that the special administrative measures applied to him in prison violated his First Amendment rights to free speech and freedom of religion. He went on hunger strike in 2009 and was force-fed and hydrated for several weeks. However, it is unknown if this hunger strike was related to his lawsuit. Reid would then sue the Justice Department over the special administrative measures applied to him. In June 2009, his prison restrictions would expire, and the special administrative measures were not reinstated by the Justice Department. He continued with his lawsuit against the Justice Department and the government of the United States of America, which were dismissed in 2010. The dropping of his special administrative measures was criticized by Homeland Security experts, with former New York Police Commissioner Howard Safir telling the Boston Herald, "If a terrorist can communicate with his family, with other associates, even with monitoring, he could use codes, he could be directing other terrorists. This is somebody who tried to blow up hundreds of people on an airline, and in my view, he should be totally restricted." In a 2015 letter to Dr. Kimberly Mailman Orozco, with whom he was communicating to write a book, Reid stated, "I do have tactical regrets of a sort, which I won't go into here, but I don't regret losing my freedom." He also insisted that the plan to blow up American Airlines Flight 63 failed because that was what God wanted, and he noted that he had no tears of the victims of a Charlie Hebdo attack, an attack on the 7th of January 2015, aimed at employees of Charlie Hebdo, a satirical weekly magazine, with the attack taking place at Charlie Hebdo's main office in Paris. The attack saw 12 people killed and 11 people injured, with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula claiming responsibility for the attack. In 2022, he requested for the U.S. District Court in Boston a review of his sentence, as he was unhappy with his original defense at his trial. This request was denied. The shoes that Richard Reid used are held by the FBI as part of their artifact collection. American Airlines continues to use the flight number 63 on its seasonal flight from Paris Charles de Gaulle to Miami, Florida. American Airlines was due to retire its Boeing 767-300ER fleet in 2021, but this was hastened to March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, with the final flight being on the 30th of March 2020. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when new videos come out. Also, why not hit that like button and leave a nice comment? It helps more than you know, and your support is truly appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, have an amazing day, and remember the truth is always more interesting than fiction.